Okay, folks, we are back, and this review is going to be a process as I have recently acquired all the movies. But let's start off with the first film, the 1968 Planet of the Apes. And this is the 35th anniversary edition with a slipcase. Somewhere in the universe, there must be something better than human. And it's got a little booklet, and it's got a special features disc, which I did not watch. And I got this at Big Lots in Orange County, probably over 10 years ago. I want to say 2014, so maybe 9 years ago. This has been sitting in my DVD collection in this shrink wrap for nearly 10 years. And I had watched this movie in high school, but I had not seen it since then. So I watched that with my kids. And then today is Father's Day, special Father's Day episode. I just thought I'd throw that in there. I went to Rasputin's in Modesto, which is now called Mad Monks, and I bought the other 4 movies that go along with it. And today I watched Beneath Planet of the Apes, which we will do a review separately. So today we are just going to talk about the original 1968 film. So this particular film was directed by a guy named Franklin Schaffner, and this was based off of a 1963 novel by a guy named Pierre Boulet, loosely based. And then Rod Serling of the Twilight Zone wrote the screenplay with this other guy, Michael Wilson. And as early as 1964, they had Blake Edwards attached to direct this movie. You know, he did the Pink Panther movies, Great Race, kind of a prolific director of the era. So he was going to direct it. And it was super innovative at the time. All the special effects and masks and makeup for the apes. It didn't end up getting shot until 1967, and Charlton Heston recommended that they use this other director, Franklin Schaffner, instead. So this movie was vaulted in the Library of Congress film archives. It was considered one of the best films of 1968. It had a budget of 5.8 million. They shot it March, April, May, June, July over a 6-month period in 1967 at Lake Powell, the Grand Canyon, the beach in Malibu, and in Utah. So it was a very innovative film for the time, and when I watch a movie like this, I just think, man, there was original content. At one point, they didn't have to do all these reboots and remakes, and then it spawned a whole universe of films, which it's all pretty much original content, but they are sophisticated. They're kind of like having an anti-war, anti-nuclear fallout bent, so it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's a propaganda film, but you can kind of see there was an angle of like the future, right? So like I said, this movie, get back to my notes, 5.8 million, one of the best films of 1968. It grossed $33 million, so it made its money back tenfold. Not tenfold, I don't know, I'm not good with math. Sixfold, 5 divided by 33, anyway, doesn't matter. So Rotten Tomatoes gives this film an 87%. Google users, shockingly the same, 87%. IMDb, 8 out of 10. And it's a shocking film. Even watching it with modern eyes, it's like, whoa, that's intense. Even though some parts are obviously, the special effects are dated, I still was captivated by it enough to buy the rest of them and see how the rest of the story plays out. And I was 4 out of 5 on the original film. And I got my oldest son, Charlie, here, and he watched it with me. And you had a little bit of a different feeling about this movie than I did, didn't you? Tell everybody what you think about this movie.
This film, I would give like a 2 out of 5.
And why do you give it such a low score?
Because the end was like funny, how this guy was like all upset that he was like Oh my gosh, like, it was insane how he was all upset because the Statue of Liberty was all destroyed and New York was just broken.
But we are coming at it from the point of view that we are looking 2,000 years into the future. So this movie takes place, their world was like 1972, I think, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of like the movie Interstellar. They go on this experiment in outer space. The Charlton Heston character is the guy that his name comes to mind the most. I'm sorry, I didn't take notes of the other guys, but even though like very little time had passed, I think only 18 months in their space reality, then somehow they go back to Earth and they don't realize it's Earth at first, and then it's like 2,000 years in, maybe actually it was even more. It was 3,000 years in the future because they were in the 3,000s. So they come back to a world where nuclear fallout has pretty much destroyed the world as we know it now, which is why I kind of mentioned that maybe their whole bent of the film was like the evils of nuclear war, right? Because then they come into this like future of apes are ruling and man has become mute and dumb and they're the animals of the future. Which, did that kind of freak you out? How they were just like killing all the friends? Remember how we had those 2 astronaut guys?
Yeah.
And what did you think about how like all the people were just like killed and hunted, and the apes were the ones that were the smart guys?
I kind of thought it was funny because the stuff how they were dumb was funny. And at first I had no idea how like they were dumb, but then I figured it out.
Do you know what an alternate reality is?
Yes.
What's an alternate reality?
It's a different reality than time that's actually happening.
Yeah. So that's what this movie is. And I like any time travel movies, as you know, we love the Back to the Future movies.
Yeah.
So this is kind of an alternate reality movie, but you could see how this movie was groundbreaking for 1968. There wasn't really science fiction films to this level. I mean, there was in like the 50s, really cheesy stuff. But this whole, I mean, look at this. They've created a whole nother world. And we watched part 1. And I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it as much as I did. Did it just seem old-fashioned, or just you didn't like the ending? What was it that you just really didn't like the ending?
It's just the endings were like really weird. How?
What would you have been?
They should have made it like ran away. They shouldn't have made it like such a cliffhanger. Like, imagine being a person before the second part was released, being like, "Oh my God, that was like such a horrible ending." How that guy was all upset.
It's funny that you feel that way, because all the research that I did says that this ending of that movie is considered one of the most iconic film endings of all time.
What?
So I think that what they're trying to set it up is like, this is kind of getting into the sequels, right? Because if you think about it, in this time period, 1968, there wasn't really a lot of movies where there were sequels. So, and they were making these movies back to back to back. So like this one is 68, this one was 70, 71, and then I think 73, and then the later one kind of went 1979. But it's kind of creating a cliffhanger because it wants you to anticipate, hey, wait, there's more. Kind of like they did that on TV shows, but not so much movies at the time. So that's kind of, I think, another reason why this is an innovative movie. It's setting up the precedent where it's like, I want to know what's going to happen next. And it's setting up the story to keep going and moving along down the line. And as you will see, some things work and some things don't as we get into it. So that's our dual review. Everybody has their opinion. I'm sure some people think Planet of the Apes is crap. My wife tried to watch it with me and she said there was too many monkeys. Such a... I don't know.
There was kind of...
It's about... That's what the movie's about. It's about a Planet of the Apes.
Funny.
Alternate realities, time travel, space-time continuum. I don't know. It was innovative. I appreciate it for what it is. That's why I'm 4 out of 5. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Until next time, we'll see you then.